Hi guys. This video is going to be a little different than my normal video. This video is a mindset that I have that I wanted to put in words and I wanted to share. I've never done this before and I thought it would be interesting to do so. So this is the subject of efficiencies. And I've never actually had to put a name to it, but I'm going to call this compounding efficiencies. And what is compounding efficiencies? And the way I look at it is in day-to-day life, as we go about our chores, our tasks, our duties, our job cycles, there are things that we must get done in the day. And there are things that can consume more time than other things. There are also things which you can spend an extra amount of time, but have the result be that that thing is now more efficient than it was before. And I thought of a silly but very realistic example that I'll share with you that I just did today. So I have this closet. I have this hall closet. It's where I store, it's actually like a pantry. Lots of food can get stored in it. And there's a light switch outside and you can let yourself into that room by turning on the light switch. Now, I ordered a light bulb that is a motion sensing light bulb. And I installed that in the room so that now when I enter the pantry, I no longer have to flip the light switch. I just walk in, the motion sensing light bulb detects my motion, turns itself on, and illuminates the room. And I walk around, I get my food, I can see what I'm doing. I didn't have to turn on the light switch, and I walk out again. Now that might sound silly that I'm even bringing this up, but here's how I look at that. I look at that as an efficiency that I introduced. So there's a cost to that efficiency, which was my time of going online, going on Amazon, searching for a light bulb, finding the one I wanted. There's a money cost of paying for that light bulb, a time cost of waiting for it to be shipped to me, and a time cost for installing it in the light socket. Now, once all those time costs and the money cost of buying it are accounted for and done, I now have an efficiency created, whereupon that efficiency wasn't present before. And to me, I weigh the cost with the compounded efficiency over a many-year period or the lifespan of that introduced efficiency. So in this example with the light bulb, I'm saving that small amount of effort to have to turn on that light switch when I go in and when I go out every time. I'm also saving the electricity of the light bulb just remaining on, which it tends to be because someone forgets to turn the light off. So it saves on a little microsecond of time leaving and entering, and it also saves on a little bit of electricity cost over the days as every day goes on. Now, it would take quite a long time, I think, to actually fully recoup the cost. For example, the light bulb was like $15, and it's not that hard to move my arm to move the light switch. And electricity is not that expensive. But I think that if you were to add it up over time, those savings do add up to something tangible. And this is just, like I said, almost a silly example, but it's an example nonetheless. And there are more important examples that can be had. And this was just one area, right? So this is my pantry. You could do this on your computer. You could do this with your car. You could do work-related tasks that you could make efficiencies for. Like I'll give you another example. I used to work in an online business, and in that business, there were repetitious tasks that needed to be done. Like, for example, item pages that needed to be created to sell things. And so I would create these item pages by hand, one by one, and upload them. And I'm pretty savvy with computers, and so I thought, well, this is kind of a waste of time. Why don't I automate this as much as I possibly can so that I can just come in and press a button or fill in the bare details and it creates the rest for me automatically. And that's an example of an efficiency. And of course, it took time away from doing my old method of simply creating those listings, those item pages, right? So it actually took away from my productivity on a temporary basis. So I was investing time I normally would have been spending into that inefficient method. And I took it and I redirected my energy and time and thought process into developing a more efficient way to create those item pages. Now I did this, and let's say it took me 2 hours to create this process. It involved a little bit of programming, a little bit of scripting, and automation of that nature. Well, I got it done. So let's say my cost was 2 hours. Now, the time it normally would take me to list, for example, 10 auction pages would have been an hour. But now I could do those same 10 auction pages in 10 minutes. And that savings of 50 minutes would happen day after day after day. And every single day after that, I didn't have to redesign the automation software I made. I would just utilize it. And in doing so, I eventually saved myself time. And it actually ended up paying for itself in terms of the time cost. Because again, 2 hours was paid for in less than 3 days. I was already a net positive on my time expenditure. And so that is an efficiency that was well worth it. That was a high return efficiency that I introduced into my life and into my work. So now you have two examples. One was a closet, a pantry, and one was my work. And now let's take them together. Let's say that I added those light bulbs to all my closets in my house, including my pantry, where my clothes are, my bathroom, and I've introduced those efficiencies throughout my home. I've got that work-related efficiency so that I don't have to manually create the item pages for my work. And now I've got a multitude. And this is what I'm talking about when I say compounding efficiencies, because they compound on each other. I now have multiple areas of my life that I am saving time in and saving money sometimes as well. And this is how I view life. And I just wanted to share this with others and get your take on it. Do you do the same thing? Do you think like this? I feel like I'm a little unusual. I don't think that most people go to this depth of thought. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong and people do this all the time. But I try to do this on like everything that I do. If I have a procedure that I find myself doing repetitiously, I will sit there and think, is there a way I can do this more efficiently? And if so, what's the time and money cost to doing so? And is it worth it? Because, for example, if the efficiency only saves me a half hour, but it takes me 2 hours to set up this new efficiency, it's not an efficiency. It's an inefficiency. And therefore, that would be not a wise choice. So part of the factor is being able to correctly estimate the amount of time and effort involved with the created solution. And as long as you're able to correctly estimate how much time it's going to take to create the efficiency, and you're right, and it does save you more than it costs, especially recurringly over a long period of time, then that is when it becomes a useful efficiency. And so what I find myself doing is in all areas of my life, I create efficiencies. And in doing so, I look at it as a form of investment. And it's an investment of my time and my money for a greater return of my time and my money. And so really, and I've never quite articulated this before, but really it's a form of business, a form of personal business. It's not interacting with society necessarily, but it's my own business with myself and my livelihood and my activities. And it's an investment back to myself. I'd love it if you guys would share with me some examples that you have created of your own efficiencies in life, in business, in personal relationships, in your house, in your yard. It could be anything. It could be with hardware, it could be with computers, it could be with farm equipment. It could be really anything. Tell me what efficiencies you guys have created and how it has impacted your life and how much time it has saved for you. And is this a similar mindset that you have when you approach the problems and the obstacles of life? Is it that you try to solve them like this? I'm really curious how many people out there think like this. And if you don't think like this and it's not a normal behavior for yourself, is it something that you would consider? And do you find that this could be a helpful mindset to have? Because I'll tell you personally, I do. I definitely feel like it's been helpful because every single problem that I recurringly run into in life that I can create some more efficient solution for is a problem that I no longer have or that is less of a problem. And that allows me to grow and expand my power, my reach, my influence as a person, just in the same way that an investor invests in a business and it returns to him. And eventually he recoups his initial investment. And then let's say it's a restaurant. He opens a second restaurant and invests money into that and recoups his investment on his second restaurant. But he's able to recoup the cost of that second restaurant more quickly because he has two restaurants that he invested in. And likewise, if he buys a third and a fourth restaurant, now he can pay those off fairly quickly because he's got these other two income sources. And soon enough, he's got 4 restaurants all pouring in money, and he's making a ton more than he was with his single restaurant. And that's all because of the efficiency of his investing. He's making the return more than his outgo. And he's increasing the amount of returning investments to him so that his outgo is ever increasing. In fact, let me just try to think of another way that I can give you another example here. Like right now, as I'm recording this video, I've got about 20 light bulbs all surrounding me. And I've got this memory foam all set up. I've got my microphone settings set exactly how I want them. And the video camera is pointed in the exact way. And setting all of that up took me quite a long time, especially to perfect. I think it took me, could be 10 hours total of tweaking and building and placing tiles everywhere and the lights and buying them, right? And it probably cost me, I don't know, $300 for just the setup itself, right? And I'm not even talking about the cost of the microphone or the hardware. And yeah, that's a pretty big cost. But now, every time I come and I sit down and I record a video, I just take the computer out of sleep and I load the software and I press record and I flip. Oh, and here's another example. I have a surge protector to my left, and I'll take a picture and show you guys just so you see what I'm talking about here. And this surge protector is a special kind of surge protector where it has 6 outlets, and every outlet has its own individual power switch. Normally, a surge protector would have one power switch that controls the entire surge protector. This surge protector is different in that each switch is individually controlled. And so what I can do with that, and I'll just show you right here, just to prove it, I can turn off the lights around me at will by pressing a single button. And that saves my energy of having to reach over to turn on the light bulb. But more importantly, it saves my time because I'm not fumbling around trying to coordinate everything. And so that surge protector is an example of how I've created an efficiency that is compounding. So every time I come and I want to do a video, it takes me 30 seconds. Whereas imagine if I had to set those light bulbs up, all 20 of them, every time I wanted to record a video, and I had to position the camera just right. I had to test the microphone settings, I had to get my equalizer all corrected every single time. That would be pretty crazy. And so I look at this setup as an efficiency that has returned on its investment. And I've made dozens upon dozens of videos in this setup. And so now I feel like this has really saved me a lot of time. So it was a good investment. And just to tie this into crypto, because I haven't talked about crypto at all, and this is a cryptocurrency related channel, this is part of the reason why I limit my main portfolio holdings to about 4 or 5 cryptocurrencies. And this could apply for any investment asset that you might have. And the way I look at it is the more assets I hold, the more dispersed I become, and the less able I am to focus concentratedly on any single asset, and the less able I am to fully understand the news and the technical knowledge behind each cryptocurrency, the less knowledgeable I am and the less able I am to stay on current events. Imagine if I had 20 cryptocurrencies. There's no way I'm going to be able to stay on top of every one of those, or 20 investments, right? There's no way I'm going to be able to stay on top of 20 investments as well as I would be able to stay on top of 4 or 5 investments. Now, I do believe that diversification is an important quality to have in investing, and that is why I do pick 4 or 5 cryptocurrencies. I don't put it all in one because that is a lot more risk than I'm willing to have. But I feel that the return on diversification of going from 4 or 5 cryptocurrencies to 20 cryptocurrencies is not worth the amount of manpower, the amount of personal manpower and mind power to learn and understand and keep up to date on that 20 cryptocurrencies versus the 5. So the return isn't as worth it. So I keep my portfolio small, again, for the purpose of efficiency, compounding efficiency. Because if I had 20 cryptocurrencies over a 2-year period, imagine how much news that is to digest and how much trading that is to do and how much transferring and wallets I have to maintain and software. It becomes mind-boggling. And so if I have just 4 or 5, I can keep on top of it. I can make my transfers as necessary, and I can be more efficient with my time. It's an efficiency. And that's also a reason why I only long-term trade. I don't day trade because it becomes this microcosm of mental anguish where you're just constantly tormented over the ups and downs, swings of the price by hour to hour, day to day, week to week time frame. And that doesn't feel enjoyable to me. Now, that's my preference as far as occupation. If you enjoy day trading and you love that, then by all means, you should dive right into that because you love it, right? But I'm trying to minimize my exposure to trading and the mental stresses associated with that. And so one of the ways I do that is by trading very infrequently. I just make like power moves a couple times a year where I take a significant percentage of a portfolio asset and I shift it to something else when I deem that the savings are worth my time. So I make power moves a few times a year with trades, with my assets, and I only hold 4 or 5 major assets that I want to keep up to date on in the first place. So there you go, guys. Let me know if this helped you at all. Let me know if this is something that you do. And maybe you could integrate this into your life if you're not already thinking in this manner, because I'm telling you, it can be implemented in so many ways. I think you get the idea. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a great day.